What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. I'm wearing another fancy shirt today. It's fancy-ish. I'm going golfing this morning before all the bad weather rolls in. Today is option day. I'm recording this on Sunday morning. Expecting some news this afternoon on the team option front. And since it's a little bit too early for that, we're going to get one of our off-season preview videos in today. And we'll talk about the option stuff on my stream later today and tomorrow in a video. So for me, let's talk about LA Thieves. They have a little bit of an interesting off-season. So let's talk about the season and what they should do. They're looking like they're going to be rebuilding this season. Can they put together another contender and bring another title to the organization? All right, so LA Thieves had a fantastic end to the season prior to this season, the Vanguard season, where they won back-to-back events, Major 4 and Champs. So coming into this year, no changes. They kept things rolling. The only person missing was their sub Pentagram, who didn't really play a minute for them in the season prior. They had a good start to the season at Major 1 with top 6, and then going into Boston at Major 2, they lost to Atlanta FaZe in the grand finals. Asilo pretty much costed them. Asilo Control, Asilo S&D, but they needed to work on that. They didn't have the best of majors in Dallas, Arlington, whatever you want to call it. But then when they pulled up to Major 4 in Columbus, they were a well-rounded team. The hardpoint was looking good. Asilo was looking good. The control was looking good. They had fixed a lot of their S&D issues, and we'll talk about those in a second. And they were able to take the victory over Optic on the same maps I talked about. So big key there. The problem, I think, for Thieves started after this event. I think, I don't want to say they peaked too early, but I do think that as teams did a lot of adjustments after Major 4, I think this team kind of struggled to really keep that momentum going, counter adjust. And so a disappointing top 6 at Toronto, where they had to, they kind of couldn't really keep the run long through the losers bracket. And then heading out dead last at Champs is a real surprising result for this team. I don't think anyone, we'll take a look at the bracket for how Champs went down if you don't remember. Them losing to Toronto, okay, I think that's understandable. I think, they're another top team. Game 5, it is what it is. But losing Game 5 to Seattle, I think is definitely an upset. And I think that they could have made some noise if they had won that matchup. So dead last means I think a lot of changes incoming for LA Thieves. And I think for me, the biggest thing this team needs to work on in the offseason is search. I thought their respawn all season was very good. As you take a look at the records here, they're solid in hardpoint, solid in control. But the 30 and 28, the 50% win rate in S&D is really not going to cut it. And we'll kind of scroll through here and kind of highlight a couple of stats I think are really key. Yes, they have a 500 record in search, but we scroll. You get first bloods 55% of the time. They actually led the league in first bloods this season. But 68% of those rounds are the ones they won. 69 if you want to round up. And that is not going to cut it. Look at the teams above them. Optic, 74%. Subliner, 72%. 73% for Vegas. And then the top S&D team, 79% for FaZe. You can't throw away all these rounds where you go 4v3. That was their problem all season. When they won Major 4, they finally fixed it. And then it reoccurred again at the end of the season, and was kind of their doom, I think, in search in those game 5s. They're just not able to convert that Fortress Surge, et cetera. And I think that's why you're going to see some major changes to the squad this season. So I think how we get here for Thieves is a little perplexing to me. I'm a little confused as to how LA Thieves, after the season last year, didn't try and get the players to sign another 1+1, get them like a 7 to 15% salary bump, and then get some of them locked down. Instead, every person on the team now is a free agent. I just think that was a mistake by LA Thieves. The only thing I can think of is they're trying to reset their salary demands for the team, and they were willing to, kind of rebuild this season and kind of reset that. But if they were trying to build a winner year to year, I feel like they had a pretty easy opportunity to re-sign everybody, keep everybody happy, lock them into longer term deals. You could have even gotten them on 2+1s, but I mean, the 1+1 strategy works for teams like Toronto and FaZe. So I'm just a little confused how we got here for Thieves, but essentially the issue is they currently have no players on the roster because everybody is a free agent. All right, so let's try to make some guesses on sort of where they may go with the squad. So we're going to assume full squad wide. They may bring some players back, but I'm going to give kind of options for each position. We're going to drag this player column out because I think there's going to be a lot of players for some of this. So let's start with main AR. So first option, obviously, bring Sam back. I thought he was solid last season. To me, the biggest thing that Octane needs to work on is his search. I think that he's a great respawn player. I think he's a great leader. His comms are great. The search, he's an island player, and sometimes he gets exposed these S&D games. He's just not, he doesn't bring the dynamicism that someone like Slasher does. And that's why I think that might be an option that LA Thieves looks at. If they're like, okay, we want to improve in search, maybe it's a bit of a pros and cons, because I think Austin's control is not as good. Sam's, I think their hard point's a little bit more of a wash, but Sam's comms are better, but Austin's giving you like a 1-2 insertion at the end of the season. So it's a tough decision. I think the other tough part too is the coaching staff knows Slasher very well. Cap's teamed with them for a long time and then coached him. So like they have a long relationship and they may not be willing to kind of like say run it back for the 5th time with him. Now, the other player that they can get, and we've talked a lot about the Toronto situation, is Inside. If Inside is allowed to leave, I could see him going to Thieves. A lot of teams have rather kind of rated Insight. Well, I know he's a super slow sort of AR. That's the way he plays for Toronto, but I do think that this would be a good pickup for the squad. Next up, we've got the flex role. So as far as I know, it seems like Draws and Envoy are probably not coming back. And that's sort of the chatter behind the scenes. Again, just rumors, but for now, we're going to assume we're going to have neither player back. So at the flex level, we're probably going to see some new talent here. I think for me, I like Dante sliding in here. I do think that this is a opportunity for Dante to get into a more of a championship squad. I'm not to diss on Seattle, but I just think that this camp has got a little bit more buttoned up than Seattle is. And I think there's an opportunity for growth for him. I think he's a nasty player. And I think Cap and Shane can bring the best out of him. So I like this move. As an alternative, if this doesn't work, I don't think they bring someone in like Don. That's kind of not really how I see it. I'm going to say that I could see a world where Big Wake gets released by Boston, and that might be an opportunity for Thieves to pick him up. So I'm going to sit Dante and Wake here. Again, we're thinking kind of going a little young in this position, but we got to get a little bit creative here for Thieves because a lot of key players probably not coming back. I'm going to say that Kenny comes back because he's not really getting a lot of buzz right now. And at the moment, with the way that the submachine gun kind of market is working its way out, I don't know if they're going to find a better kind of role player out there. I mean, Hicksy's not really going anywhere. Kiz is re-signing. Preston's re-signing. I just don't really see someone else here. I guess maybe like if they want to go the Asim route, but I just think they're going to run back Kenny in that case. So I mean, I'll put Asim's name here, but I do think that Kenny's probably where they're probably going to pick it back up. And see if maybe, with a more realigned talent on the team, they can kind of bring the best out of him. And he just had a bad year. But he might be on a short leash, to be honest. All right, so this is where it gets a little tricky. So I would say if you're Thieves, if you can somehow get Pred on the squad, that would be great. Draza, Envoy seem to be going to either Optic or FaZe. Maybe Pred also goes to FaZe, but Thieves, if you can try and get Pred as your star player on the team, I think would be a really, really huge get. And I think you should really try because he's a game changer. Good in all 3 game modes. Again, going into a more organized camp, I think will help him a lot and develop as a player because there's still things he needs to work on. But he's an all-star talent, MVP talent, and would be sort of the front line for the squad. The problem, I think, after Pred is I don't really know if there's an elite aggressive sub if they can't get like Envoy back. So this is where it gets interesting. If they can't get Pred, I'm actually really not sure who they would pick up. The free agent market at this position is not super deep once you get past Envoy and Pred. I think there's a step down there. So I think you're going to either be looking at a buyout situation, which I don't know if they're really going to do, or they're going to have to bring someone up in challengers. I'm very curious if they do if they don't get Pred, but this is sort of like what I'm thinking with Thieves. I think the last thing for me is I would like for LA Thieves to be the team that signs Abuzah as a sub. I think considering that this team is probably a work in progress this season, probably isn't going to be at the start a big contender. I think they should go the New York route and pick Abuzah up. It's an elite organization. They can kind of help guide him in that year 1, get him comfortable. Maybe living in LA first year in COD is maybe a little sketchy, but they can make it work. I just think that this is a team that can mold him in the way that New York did Hydra, and it worked out for New York. They ended up getting a ship this year. I think Thieves can bring another one. And Abuzah's got that talent, just needs to be comfortable, start learning to speak English, all that. And I like him going this organization, this coaching staff, in order to develop him properly in the player that he can be. So this is what I think squad-wise. I think Thieves is really hard to predict just because we haven't seen all the option market yet. And also like a number of their players like Envoy and Draza may be leaving. I'm assuming in this case that they are leaving. If they do come back, this lineup looks a little bit differently. But this is kind of my assumption based on like half the team returning and them having to make adjustments around that. All right, so let me know in the comments what you guys think of the video. Like if you enjoy, subscribe for more. Tomorrow's video, if everything, all the team option stuff gets kind of announced, people kind of know if they're staying or going. We're going to cover that on tomorrow's video. If not, we'll do something else. As always, guys, we will see you on the next one.